We are shown some astronauts in space at the start of the film. They were repairing their space station when, all of a sudden, something strange happened to it. The sound of that thing was so loud and terrifying that the astronauts' ears felt like they were going to burst. After that, the scene cuts and we see a group of people a few years later. This group of college students was heading to the forest for a camping trip. On the way, they stop at a fuel station where they see a Jeep with blood on it. When a boy goes ahead to check, the truck owner suddenly comes and catches him and says, "Mind your own business, son." The truck owner was now hitting that boy while threatening him. Then his companion Charlie comes here and ends this fight and leaves with his companion. They reach the middle of the forest where they had a farmhouse. After keeping their stuff in the farmhouse, 3 people from this group leave to explore the forest, where they see a river, a spring, and very beautiful views. Along with that, they find a small hut and the 3 decide to go inside it. On entering, they found many heads of dead animals, and so they had an idea that this hut was of a hunter. A little inside, the girl sees that there are army communication tools in this hut, seeing which they get surprised. Then they look at the pictures on the top, and they were shocked to see that this hut was not of anyone else, but of the same man with whom they had a fight at the fuel station. In this picture, he was in the getup of an astronaut, means he was an astronaut. Before they had any idea about him, they feel a tremor there. That hunter must be coming here. To escape from this, they run away from the window. On reaching their home, they see that a breaking news was going on TV. It was being told that a storm of strange black clouds has begun to appear in the sky all over the world. First of all, they ignore this news, and then it is seen that such a black cloud is also visible near their area. They also start taking pictures of it. The scene cuts and we are shown a scene from the U.S. military, which was also talking about the same black cloud. Here we know that that black cloud is actually not a cloud but an alien spaceship. It clearly means that aliens are coming to this world. From their conversations, we learn that aliens have already arrived on Earth and were seen up close by 2 astronauts. One of them now calls an astronaut to him for investigation. The astronaut, who was a prisoner of the U.S. military at the time, tells them that the aliens had kidnapped him and did a very strange experiment on him. At the beginning of the story, the scene we saw that 2 astronauts heard a very loud voice. It was the sound of an alien spaceship, and at that moment, the aliens had kidnapped them. After completing their experiments, the aliens suddenly released them and they returned to Earth. Upon their return, they told everyone about their experiences. There were news reports about them, but people thought the 2 astronauts had gone crazy. They are lying, no one believed them. Anyway, the scene shifts back to the present, and that astronaut is now telling his story to the U.S. military. During this, they also hear some noise in the military office, and it is known that an alien ship is on top of their military base. The scene shifts back to the forest, and it is shown that a green shutter came out of the spaceship. Hunter, present in the forest, was also seeing all this from a distance. Here we find out that Hunter was the 2nd astronaut on whom the aliens had experimented. As these 2 shutters land on the ground, we see that these 2 astronauts start getting strange panic attacks. Here in the forest, an alien lands outside the farmhouse where the college group was staying. Seeing him, a girl freezes and shortly after, she loses consciousness. As she becomes unconscious, her friends come to her and, in the meantime, the girl comes to her senses. Here they had installed motion sensors around their house so that if any animal came near their house, they would know beforehand. Now this motion sensor was telling them that someone is coming there. When they look closely, they see that Hunter was near their house. He goes outside to see Hunter, but in the meantime, Hunter disappears from there and the boy comes back inside the house. The boy's name was Rob. As we go inside her house, we see a sticky thing outside her house, which he also sees, and he runs inside the house in fear. We see that there were a lot of aliens around their house. Knowing this, they were all very scared. Suddenly, they hear a voice from their kitchen. When they go there, they see an alien drone. This jellyfish-like drone was roaming around their house as if it was inspecting their house. They all were afraid of it, but it leaves without harming them. Now the biggest problem of all this was that an alien had also entered their house. Here, Rob starts firing to kill it. In the meantime, one bullet hits his friend Kara. They wanted to take her away from here as soon as possible to save he. But by the time they reached the garage, the girl dies. Now this thing had spoiled Rob's mental state that he killed his friend. Because of this bad mental state, he starts shooting his other friends as well. Then, Charlie was compelled to injure his hand to stop him. They panic and start running away from here. Rob, who was not in the car with them, suddenly comes in front of their car with his pistol. He still wanted to kill these people. But to save him, as they turn their car gets imbalanced, slips and falls from the hill. Fortunately, they survived. They quickly leave their car, and then we are shown that the alien spaceship comes right above that boy, and takes him inside, who was behind them to kill these three. Seeing this, these three panicked and started running away from there. Suddenly, one of their group members falls into a trap, heightening their anxiety even further. Actually, this trap was set up by Hunter, and now they were hearing the sound of an alien nearby. They were scared, but fortunately, Hunter was here who frees this boy from the trap. Now because Hunter also knew that there is an alien here, so Hunter suddenly disappeared from here. The alien, who was slowly approaching the group of children, now gets caught in a Hunter's trap. Seeing this, the Hunter becomes insanely happy. In the joy of catching the alien, he also rescues these children and brings them to his hut. After bandaging their wounds, he starts telling them the aliens' secrets. For thousands of years, aliens have been kidnapping humans and conducting experiments on them. After the experiments, they return these humans to Earth. One of the most astonishing facts, even after knowing all this, is that Homo sapiens were also created as a result of the experiments conducted by the aliens. Aliens had made humans through unicellular organisms. Over time, due to the aliens' experiments, humans evolved significantly, and the aliens continue to experiment on them. Aliens had even made me their target, means the aliens experimented on Hunter. And then he was left in the middle of the desert. All his memories were erased at the time of the experiment. He didn't remember anything, but as time passed, he started remembering everything. And now, due to those experiments, I also have the power of telekinesis. That means I can control things through my brain. Now a boy asks, why are aliens doing experiments? Hunter replies that just as humans send monkeys to other planets to determine if the environment is safe for humans, similarly, these aliens are creating humans like themselves to see if they can survive on Earth, i.e., they also want to occupy Earth because right now the sun is very close to their plane. As a result, their planet's environment is very hot. That's why they often carry out their activities and attacks at night. Hunter says that when he was experimented on and remembered everything, he tried to tell the U.S. military everything. But no one believed him. Then he took retirement from his job and spent his entire life in this work to stop the aliens. According to his research, he already knew that aliens would come to this world and kidnap a lot of people to make them like him. Now, because Hunter also had an alien, he decides to take revenge by experimenting on the alien himself. But before he does that, another alien comes with his drone. He was making such a bad noise that everyone's heads and ears were bursting. Especially Hunter's, because the alien had experimented on him, and to torture him, the alien was making this sound. Tired, the three children decide to leave Hunter's hut. But one of his companions who was injured and couldn't run with them, so they leave him in the same hut. And the other to come out. After coming out, the alien's spaceship pulls them inside. Anyway, it is shown that when Charlie regained consciousness, he found himself in such a place where many other humans were also kept. And the alien drones were guarding him. Somehow, after getting out of this place, he goes in search of his friend Annie. He also finds his companion, Granny, who was brought here injured from that hut. And now he had turned half of his body into a machine. Seeing this, he becomes sad. He goes a little further and he sees that the aliens were also experimenting on the human hearts. Moving a little further, he also sees his other two companions who were also in the same condition. The lower part of their body was also turned into machines. Here, the aliens were going to do the same with his friend Annie. Means they were going to turn half of her body into a machine. But just in time, Charlie saves Annie and an alien gets a clue about this. The aliens catch him and he was also made unconscious. After a while, it is shown that the aliens had also started experimenting on him strangely while locking him up in the machine. Because of this, Charlie became unconscious. When he regained consciousness, he found himself on Earth. There were no clothes on his body and there was the same mark like hunters on his body. So the aliens experimented on him and put a stamp on him. He had his clothes which he picked up and wore. Further on, he meets his friend Annie in the same condition. She was also perfectly fine and had an alien stamp on her. Not only Annie, but the whole group meets in the same forest in the same condition. They wear clothes, meet again, and reach their farmhouse. Through the news, Annie finds out that the aliens had landed on Earth and kidnapped a lot of humans, and then left them back on Earth. The aliens have left a mark on the human body. And if any experiment has been done on humans, humans know nothing about it. The aliens were returning to their planet, but the news reported that the U.S. military now considered these humans a threat to others. So the U.S. military gives the order to arrest all these humans. They also knew that they would be arrested soon because the aliens had a mark on their bodies as well. Without wasting time, they leave for their homes, but on the way, the police stop them. They were on the verge of being caught, but before the police could capture them. But Charlie observes the telekinesis power inside him at the right time. Using these powers, he snatches the police officer's gun and attacks him. In response to his firing, the police also fired, which killed a lot of his friends. And in return, Charlie also killed all the police officers. Here, his injured friend, Annie, suddenly heals herself, means she had a healing superpower inside her. After which she gets up and heals all her friends and they all come back to life. This way, we learn that these people are immortal, meaning they will never die. In the last scene of the story, we see the same black clouds from which the alien spaceship emerged now hovering over the Earth, just as the three had seen before.